Welcome to the show. It's Michael Greenwood, and today I've got with me Steve Dennis. Welcome to the show, Steve. I'll let you do a quick intro on what you do and what you're about.
Well, thanks, mate, and thanks for having me on your podcast. Steve Dennis, as you said, I'm an online coach, health coach. I help guys and women, between 40 or 50 years old, reclaim their health, lose a beer gut, reverse diabetes, pre-diabetes, insulin insensitivity. Basically, a holistic health coach trying to get them healthy again, get off medications, as well as lose a beer belly and maybe get a six pack if that's what we want. But we're a bit old for that, but we can still do that. Help people with their nutrition and their exercise, being active.
Good stuff, mate. Yeah. So, what got you into this then? So, if we go back to like an early memory of when you.
The reason I became a coach, a PT, personal trainer. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and maybe a bit before that as well. Like, why did you get into looking after your body and
yeah.
your mindset and things like that?
Okay, so I became PT 15, 16 years ago now. Before that, I was a DJ and a singer in Ayia Napa in Cyprus. So I had a pretty hedonistic lifestyle. I was drinking alcohol and partying every single night, 7 days a week, from 9 at night till 5 in the morning, in my 20s. I did that for 6.5 years. Really not an alcoholic, but every single day I was drinking, and I built up quite an immunity to alcohol, so I could just drink all night and nothing really happened. But it abused my body from 23 to 30 years old. Then with my ex at the time, we had a child over there, and we decided it's not good to bring a child up in Ayia Napa lifestyle, so we moved back to England. I was massively overweight, but obviously because I never did any exercise back then, I was just eating junk food and drinking alcohol. So I was massively overweight. I knew I was overweight. I was DJing at people's weddings by then, back in England. People doing wedding DJing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it was still drinking. It was still eating crap. It was still staying up late, and it was still not exercising properly. So as I knew I was overweight, I decided I need to go to the gym. I started going to the gym, and I was ad hoc in it, trying to find my way up for about 4 years. I was doing some reps here and just a bit of treadmill here and a bike here, and sitting in the sauna, sweating it out, pretending to myself that sweating is all you need to do to lose fat. You're sweating fat off. Sit in the sauna, sit in a jacuzzi. Didn't really get absolutely anywhere. I was still 4 stone overweight after 4 years, and then I got diagnosed from the nurses, the doctors. I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which is lifestyle caused diabetes. So I got it from my lifestyle at the age of 33, 34. And at the time they were saying, most people back then, it was 45, 50-year-olds it might start happening to. So I was one of the youngest to get type 2 diabetes back then. Now it's a lot more common. So that was a catalyst for me, because when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I remember my nan, although she was 80 odd, she had type 2 diabetes, and she ended up having her feet cut off. She had to have her feet amputated. So when they told me I had type 2, that was a shock in my brain, and I just imagined having my feet cut off, going blind, and I was like, okay, I'm not having it. I did not accept type 2 diabetes. So that was the kickstart, the kick up the arse. What do they call it? The light bulb moment where I had to change my life. So basically, I went back to the gym. I started studying nutrition. I started studying exercise properly, and really did it properly. And I actually lost 4 stone that year, and I reversed my diabetes. So they put me on a load of medication, but then after the first year, they took me off all medication. It's not reversed. We say reversed diabetes, but basically it was in remission. So the diabetes had gone. I wasn't on any medication anymore, and they said you've reversed it. And I was one of the first people in the country to do that, and I felt really proud about myself for once. I was glad what I'd done, and this is why I wanted to help other people achieve what I felt. So I became a PT. I studied master personal trainer at the European Institute of Fitness up in Lilleshall, the sports place. Became a master PT, and then started personal training people in my garden, and in church halls, doing large groups classes, and grew from there basically. So that was the catalyst. That's the reason.
And like, did you I mean, just thinking back to when I were a kid, and kind of in contrast to, I say like a lot of kids these days in the UK, they're not as active, are they? And I were quite active because there were no internet or anything like that. There were no mobile phones. I think we had like an old Nokia or something when we were about
Yeah.
12.
Well, no, I didn't have a mobile till well, God, about 20, probably 19. But in the 90s, was it late 90s for phones? But yes, there's two ways of looking at it now for kids. Some of them are more active because they've got a healthier lifestyle, but some of them are just sitting down on the PlayStation or the Xbox. So you've got that part where they don't do anything and they become recluses. Also, we had lockdown, so kids stayed in and they got drummed into them for a couple of years to stay in. Um, and on top of that, the food nowadays is so much more highly processed. The junk food, things like Deliveroo and Just Eat, where they just send it, where they deliver the food to your house. You don't even have to move from your PlayStation now. So there's loads of different reasons. Back in the days, 70s, we didn't really have snacks. I always think back to the if you're a guy or a girl of our age, I'm 49, I think you're 46.
Yeah,
Guys and girls from our age, they might remember the advert for Cadbury's Fudge, and it was a finger of fudge is just enough to give the kids a treat. That advert was the first time that we started having chocolate treats. Because before that, yeah, you might get apples and oranges or something, but you'd have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when the street lights came on, you'd be home for your dinner. But nowadays, we're having snacks all day long. You know, there's chocolate bars and crisps and whatever else. There's just snacks everywhere. We didn't really have that as much, not as much processed food back then. And our generation before us had even less processed food. They'd eat proper food and they'd have manual jobs. Now we've got sit-down jobs and we've got processed food, not really walking, not lifting anything up and eating thousands more calories than we used to. Food is a lot more available.
yeah, 100%. I asked somebody. I remember this from about 20 years ago. The Yeah, I'm 45 now. I'm 46 in August, um, which is yeah, not that
You're a young man
quite yeah.
compared to me.
And yeah, so 20 years ago, I asked somebody who snacked all day basically. So she chocolate bars and stuff like that. Why do you have that instead of fruit? Because I've always had quite a lot of fruit, and I do like chocolate, but it's kind of like if I have it, I'd rather not have it in the house. You know, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and that's how I kind
Temptation.
of do things with my relatively clean diet. But I asked her why do you have this chocolate bar rather than a fruit which is sweet and you know it's better. It's better for you. She said it's convenience. It's messy when you're having fruit. This was the response. You've got to cut it up. You get your hands sticky. But when you've got like you open a chocolate bar or like a like one of those breakfast bars or something like
Uh-huh.
that, you it's nice and you don't get it on your hands and stuff like that. It's nice and convenience. So I suppose that's the key word, isn't it? Like convenience food and the rise of
I think it's a habit. People have got bad habits. Good habits are hard to break, and so are bad habits. Snacking is a habit. If there wasn't any chocolate or crisps, etc., in the fridge, and then you go to the fridge because you're thinking about having a snacky snack, and you open it up and there's tins of tuna, you can change your mind. Oh, I'm not really hungry, and just shut the door. So that's that habit that gets broken. As you say, not having it in the house, out of sight, out of mind, removing the temptation. There's that, and there's the hyper palatableness of the food when it's been processed, really, really high in sugar and high in fat. So chocolate is sugar and fat. So that is giving your reward receptors the same as they say, the same as cocaine and stuff like that. It's same as orgasms. You know? It's dopamine, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, all in one, and it's so nice. You can't stop. You keep going. A tub of ice cream, you can't just have a little bit and then put it back. You're going to keep going and keep going. And eat 1,000 calories in a snack. Yeah.
yeah 100%. It is all about dopamine, isn't it? And that's the reward center in the
Mm.
brain.
Mm.
And you just remind me of when I read, is it James Clear's Atomic Habits,
Yes.
Environment
Yes.
Design?
Yes.
So I stopped drinking coming up to 3 years ago, and I stopped drinking because it was just really slowing me down, and I was drinking too much, and um, I was never really a daytime drinker, but when the evening came, it was like, it's 6 o'clock, it's wine o'clock, or it's beer o'clock, that kind of thing.
It's a habit, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
it.
habit.
It's
Six
it's like
o'clock.
Pavlov's dogs, that bell ringing, salivating, that kind of thing. So it's very much classical conditioning and habits. And as the way that I stopped, I started to tackle it head on, all the reason behind drinking and the marketing, and like in this country, the UK, how we've got that culture, which I'm glad to see that it's kind of dissipating now. Younger people seem to be drinking less.
Pubs are shutting down, and it's now 5, 6, £7 a pint. Nobody can afford to do that as much, and it's less of a. Remember, if you go out as a kid, as a teenager, and you go and buy a big bottle of cider and you drink it in the park, and then you throw up everywhere.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that again? But because back then it was like, yeah, we keep going, try it. It was the thing to do. And I think it's less of the thing to do these days. Yeah, they're drinking sometimes, but not as much. Not the same. It's not a pub culture like it used to be.
Yeah, and what do you put that down to? Are there just more options, or
Well,
more options?
the government's pushing down on it. Obviously, they're putting tax on it to make it more expensive, so it's less easy. The same with smoking. Kids that are 16 or 17, I think it is, they will never be able to smoke. So they've changed the law on that. If you were born before X amount, whatever date, you're never allowed to buy fags, cigarettes. The age is going to go up and up and up. But also they make them £20 a packet, so it's less likely that people are going to be able to afford them. So then they ban smoking it inside, so people go outside. So it's less likely that people are going to copy them because they're not in the face. They're just stepping it away. With a drink, it's the same thing. They're now, a lot harder on drink driving, for example. So you've got to be careful of that. Then so kids will be wary of that. The 5, 6, £7 a pint is that. Pubs are an old thing. They are less, especially estate pubs. You might go into the towns, into the cities, it's still going on. They're still there with the vibe. But there used to be estate pubs. Every estate would have a pub, and everybody would be down there, and you could spend 10, 20 quid in a night. Nowadays, you're looking at £100 a night, so it's a lot harder.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive, isn't it? And the tax on the alcohol as well. I don't know if it's like 70, 80% or something like that.
Don't know, but I know it's expensive, and that's what's the government pushing it. And it's more like kids are also probably more aware of their health, even though they're sitting down playing the PlayStation. That's because they're addicted. And even though they're eating McDonald's, that's because they've been drummed into and they're addicted to that. They've got a habit even. But they haven't got the habit of drinking alcohol that much anymore. They're more aware of what the effects of alcohol and smoking does to you, and they're less aware of the effects of food, because McDonald's is still allowed to advertise on telly to kids, but you're not allowed to advertise alcohol so much. You're not allowed to advertise cigarettes at all. So it's been removed from their marketing, and they're scanning into their vision in their daily life. So I think it's been that out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, because if you consider like a soap opera and how prominent like smoking and drinking would have been in like TV in general, there would have been smoking in the Rover's Return, weren't there? I think there were, we'll call it Bet, whoever the barmaid was.
Yeah,
She used to smoke behind the bar, did she? Or she used to smoke in the pub?
probably. But when I moved to Cyprus in 2000, they had Cypriot television, didn't have English TV, so we did watch a little bit of that. And the only thing that was on in English would be the news once a day at 6 p.m. They'd have the news in English. But the news representatives had ashtrays and they were smoking on telly.
Really? Yeah.
Yep. So they've had the news desk with an ashtray with the ashtray and that. That was so that's like 2000. But if you go back to the 1970s, it was probably the same in England. A baby
Yeah.
shower and an ashtray with what do they call it? John Player specials.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and it's like if you look at shows like Suits, so I think there were a big tie-in with Macallan whiskey, and obviously Macallan whiskey seemed to go up in terms of value, like a bottle of Macallan's whiskey.
Yeah.
And it were always a reward kind of thing, like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization, or that status of you've done a deal, you've won a legal case, so let's have a big glass of scotch. Yeah, and that becomes like synonymous with success and stuff like that. And it's same with anything. It's like an association, and that's marketing.
Yeah.
Really, that's the
Product place.
um, yeah, the brainwashing element of it as well, getting people to buy things. Um, yeah, and it's similar with, like, I don't know what your beliefs are on breakfast. Do you believe in having a breakfast or not? What's your kind of day to day, if you don't mind going into that a bit?
I don't believe that breakfast spikes your metabolism, as some people might say. That's old. Some people fast. Some people don't. Uh, Everybody's different. What fits into your lifestyle is probably what you should be doing. There is benefits to fasting. You're going to have less calories, probably, because you're going to have a smaller window of eating. It depends on the person. Some people, when they start eating, now they just get in an eating mode, and now they're hungry all the time. So the longer they can leave that, the longer it is till they start their eating. It depends what they eat as well. If you're going to wake up in the morning and have a bowl of Cocoa Pops or sugary granola, then they're spiking their blood sugar first thing in the morning. Now they're running on sugar for the day. And it depends, are they diabetic or not? Are they a naturally skinny person, shall we say, with a faster thyroid? Then they need more calories and they need more sugar. So they should be probably eating in the morning, whatever that is, whether that's porridge or whatever. And then if somebody's overweight and trying to lose weight, maybe they shouldn't be eating in the morning and waiting a little bit and just getting themselves to burn some fat. But then again, everybody's different. As long as you're not, I don't recommend waking up and having granola, Cocoa Pops, and donuts to anyone, unless they're that skinny person, if they need it. If they're a scaffolder and they're really skinny and they've got to work flat out carrying heavy stuff around for 8 hours, then probably they need to fuel that. But if they're going to sit on a desk all day and they're overweight, then definitely I don't see why they would need to. But everybody's different, so I wouldn't tell somebody to skip breakfast or eat breakfast. I would probably ask them what it is that they like doing and then work around that normally, because you can't just tell people you've got to change your life, because if there's resistance there, they're more likely not to continue, not likely to get the result that they wanted. But yes, it depends. Obese people don't be eating Cocoa Pops and that. Skinny
Yeah,
people,
there's like scales, I suppose, of
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
my understanding, and obviously I might be wrong on this, but somebody told me a long time ago, and this guy, he looks probably 10, 15 years younger than. I've not seen him for a while actually, but he's when he were an old business associate. I probably need to reach out to him again, actually see where he's up to, but did quite a bit of work with him in terms of websites and marketing and stuff like that. And he'd have it was very much raw food, so he'd have this kind of milk that he'd make, call it a milk. It wasn't cow's milk or anything. It was maca, and it had, so I think maca is a powder, a root which sort of survives at the top of the Himalayas or something like that. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but it's like a an off white powder. Uh, I tried it once, but it was a bit. But he raved about this stuff, and this was probably 15 years ago, something like that, when we were talking about this. And then he'd have all this raw food, and
yeah.
he'd talk about like a nut, like a walnut, which are probably one of the best nuts for you, apparently. Is there some association with reducing
Fats,
dementia? We,
polyunsaturated fats, healthy fats and fibre. Yes, good. But if you have too
mm,
many, you're having too many calories. So obviously, the poison is in the dosage. But walnuts are great food. Yeah, high in vitamins and minerals, high in healthy fats. For dementia, well, you're going to read studies that are funded by people that sell walnuts or something like that. So I don't know. You can't read into studies, but healthy fats for your brain, which is made of fat, cannot be a problem. Problem would be trans fats, man-made fats, margarine, things like that you don't want to have for your brain. But yeah, walnuts are good.
Yeah, and he I always remember him saying a nut has got these enzyme inhibitors, and he were taking enzymes to break down his food and stuff like that, help with his digestive enzymes.
Yeah.
He was taking these tablets, and he said, Michael, this nut has got so much power within it because it can grow, into a big. It can grow big from this little thing, so it's kind of got all this energy, and when you eat this, you're getting kind of the energy as well. So they were all about that kind of thing. And I got into vibrational energy, and I listened to Bob Proctor and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, so frequencies and energy. I know it's not for everybody, but it kind of works for me with the guided meditation and breathing exercises and getting more oxygen in. Because I think a lot of the time in a day we I know breathing's automatic and it's kind of tacit, but if you're mindful about it, you can get more oxygen in and stuff like that.
Wim Hof works really well. So for me, for ADHD type like myself, meditation's too hard. But exercising makes me breathe a lot, obviously. So I find exercise like running and cycling, etc., is my type of meditation. But if you don't want to do that, then Wim Hof, I don't know if you've seen his one, but
Yeah.
the Iceman, hyperventilating for 45 seconds, you can get a good buzz from that, oxygen buzz. Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched that. So it's getting you to a point where you're almost in crisis because you're holding your breath and you get that dopamine. So I've watched that quite a lot. I've not really got into the closest I've got to a cold plunge, and I've heard that the dopamine, for example, from like an hard drug like cocaine is about, I think it were 8 minutes or 12 minutes, I can't remember, but the dopamine from a cold plunge it lasts about 3 or 4 hours, is it?
Don't know. I refuse to do it.
No? Okay. Do you want to unpack that a bit?
For me, no, but there's loads of people that love doing it, but also there is studies that disprove it. So again, as I say, you can't rely on some studies because they are funded by somebody that's got an ulterior motive. There is
Are they trying to sell you a ice,
bath.
whatever they call them, the tub?
Yeah, I've got a wheelie bin outside that I can put cold water in, but now I'm going to spend 150 quid on one, put it in my garden.
Yeah.
There's that. There's obviously Wim Hof sort of did it and became famous and made some money. So there might be studies funded by somebody that's part of his company. I don't know. There is maybe a thing of just doing something hard. So getting in the ice bath is hard. And if you do it, you've achieved something hard. And that I do agree with. If you go for a run, which is hard. If you do weights, lifting, which is hard. Anything that you do something hard, then you get the reward of the dopamine, the endorphins, the serotonins, but they're a lot more beneficial than just taking some drugs and getting it there. You don't get the same after effect. So doing something hard and then getting a reward is definitely better for your neurological pathways.
Yeah, definitely. The way this, it must have been a YouTube video I watched probably last year where short-term gratification, taking the hard drug or the heroin or whatever leads to misery, but you get the quick dopamine. But then delayed gratification. So it's trying to chase happiness as well. So it's happiness versus joy. So joy being high vibrational, but happiness being like a fleeting thing that you can't be happy all the time, but you can have joy in the work that you do when you're climbing the mountain, whether that's a metaphor to doing the hard work or whatever. When you reach the destination, it can be an anticlimax, and then you should reward yourself as well that you've done a good job and you've had the discipline, which is the ability to give yourself a command and follow through on it. So I think
100%.
discipline's very important.
Yeah, discipline. Discipline is freedom, is the saying. Once you've got discipline in your life for exercising or eating healthily, then you've got freedom because you know what you're going to be doing. You haven't got to decide what am I going to be eating today, and then you can decide McDonald's, because the McDonald's advert is in your head. If you've got discipline of you're eating a healthy foods, then you've already got that freedom of doing that you don't even need to make a choice because it's already happening. Are you going to do your workout today? If it's part of your life and you do it every single day, it becomes a habit. You've got freedom that you know you're going to do it. You haven't got to decide whether you're going to do it or not, or if you're going to do weights or running or cycling. It's part of your life. There's freedom to not have to make that choice. We're talking about the mountain, yeah. So we've done Kilimanjaro twice, and we're doing it for the third time this year in October. I could get a helicopter to the top of Kilimanjaro. It's not going to be as good. I'm going to have a lovely view, but it's not going to be as good as trekking for 6 days and camping out and achieving that. It's quite hard. The altitude and the steepness of it, the length of time, the eating the rice and the beans. It's quite a hardship. So you achieve that. It's a lot better than just getting a helicopter up there or a motorbike or a car or whatever.
So somebody, a good friend of mine, when I stopped drinking, and I'm probably like a year in, stopped drinking alcohol, and he said, "Michael, you're looking at it as a loss. You can't drink anymore." But he said, reframe it, because what are you getting? As a result, you're getting better health, you're getting more productivity and stuff like that. So I think it's often reframing. So when you just talked about eating like what a lot of people would consider bland food, like, I don't know, rice and chicken or whatever it is, as opposed to eating something which is kind of quite strong on your taste buds. And, like, for example, I didn't have a packet of crisps for 6 months once or something like that. Some arbitrary amount of time, might have been 2 months, but from memory, the first time I had a crisp again, it were my taste buds weren't used to it. So I think what one man thinks is a bland meal, but it's very nutritious and good for you. Because a lot of people with healthy eating, they think, well, everything that's, and I think this is a limiting belief. A lot of people say everything that's nice is bad for you in terms of food. Everything that is good for you is bland, but it's not the case. I don't find it the case. We eat
Education.
really healthy old foods. We use some spices and
Yeah,
just salt and pepper
yeah.
and stuff
Garlic. I
like
love
that,
garlic.
and it's delicious. It's better
Garlic,
because I'm not.
onion.
I don't.
Garlic, onion, pickled beetroot, that sort of thing explodes the flavour. But we've got processed food, which is high in sugar, high in like, two different types of sugar, glucose and fructose together to make it really, really sweet. Then it's high in fat as well. So then the dopamine reward is too much. Ice cream, you cannot stop. Chocolate, you cannot stop. It's too nice. There's no off switch. But yeah, chicken and rice sounds boring, but if you're having a chicken madras or a vindaloo, it's suddenly nice because they put spices with it.
Yeah.
Salads. I mean, I'm a salad monster. I love salads at this time of year, especially. And there is just like the leaves on their own are horrible. Then I've got peppers, cherry tomatoes, spring onion or a bigger onion. That's going to make it explode. Then we've got peppers. We've got cucumber. Then I've got pickled beetroot. Then I've got a salmon which has got teriyaki sauce and garlic and chili on top of it. The juices from that all over it. And then you've got a vinaigrette or a balsamic or something. And you've got salt and pepper. There's so many flavours there. Hundreds of different flavours. How can that be boring? But it's not sugar and fat, which is processed food.
I think it's education and kind of
How to
culinary skills, because there's two extremes. I think there's somebody who gets the ready meal and it's full of the sugar and spiking the
salt.
dopamine,
Ready
making
meal,
people
ready meal will be
addicted,
high in salt as well.
and the salt as well. So the putting, yeah. So they're getting the ready meal. They haven't got a clue how that's made, and then if they go to cook, if they try to cook, they'll put potatoes. They'll do potatoes. They'll do bland chicken. They might put some salt on. They
Got
might
no
put too much
imagination.
salt on. Yeah.
We don't really watch cooking shows anymore. That used to be back in the 70s. What was it, Mary Berry or whatever? Everybody was watching cooking shows, and people used to learn and know how to cook. Our generation, or the younger generation, doesn't really know how to cook. I find we've had a gym for 15 years, which is now coming to the end. But the gym, I've had many foreign people come in, Asian, Eastern European, and they all know how to cook. and the English people come in, and I need to teach them how to cook. We've got recipe books and meal plans and stuff like that, so that they get inspiration and learn how to cook nice food. But you got the foreign people that are Asian, India, Pakistan, or Sri Lankan, or you got Polish and Romanians. They're coming in. They know how to cook. I don't need to teach them how to cook. So they're sort of we've gone to this society's advanced to this point where we don't do that anymore. And obviously, when lockdown came in, Deliveroo, Just Eat, and whatever they ever deliver the food thing, their businesses have skyrocketed, £1 billion businesses. Why? Because people don't want to cook. I don't even want to leave. Don't even want to go and get it. They get it delivered. It's crazy.
Yeah, it comes back to that convenience, like that example
Yeah.
where it's nice and packaged rather than, something that you have to prepare and get all the ingredients out and make a bit of a mess and come out of your comfort zone maybe.
You're washing up.
Yeah, and it's a shame. I mean, I personally don't use like these services where they're delivering. I don't want to get into that. I don't even want to get into that habit, of being able to do that. I like resistance I like the friction in my life. I'm a bit old school. I'm not signed up to any of these apps,
That's what I was gonna say.
with the delivery services.
One tip I would give to anyone listening to, if they're interested in
Take
losing
the
weight,
app off your phone.
delete them apps. I know
Yeah,
them apps. Them apps are the first one, top left on their home screen. You know, you can get an app like MyFitnessPal where you're tracking your food and put that up there instead. That should be. And when I say right, let's have a look at your MyFitnessPal, they got to find it. They don't know where the app is. Yeah, Just Eat is top left. So getting them out. Yeah, phones are addictive, and the phones know what they're doing. And if you've got Just Eat, Deliveroo at the top of your phone, that's going to get you every single time. And then they're sending you messages, notifications, and then they're emailing you.
yeah. They want you to be top of mind. There's that 2 minute rule. That 2 minute rule where you get your gym kit together the night before, you get your gym kit on, and if you do that in 2 minutes, you're more likely to do the thing. And it's like it with anything. So if you've got the app on, that's just less friction to then ordering.
Yeah. Well, they know they're a big company, £1 billion companies. They know money like speed. So the faster that they can get their money, the more likely you're going to spend it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But also, getting up in the morning to go to the gym, again, it comes down to habit. Is it your uh, part of your lifestyle? At the beginning, it's hard, but once you've been doing it for a little while, it's hard to stop. At the beginning, it's hard. After a while, it's hard to stop because it's a habit, and whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. And talking about fruit and you said about the crisps, you couldn't stand the flavour. If you stopped having processed foods like chocolate and crisps and whatever for a couple of weeks, then you went and had a piece of fruit, that strawberry would blow your head off because it would be so sweet. But now at the moment, you have a strawberry or an apple, and you'd be like, this is bland because it's not as hyper palatable as a piece of chocolate. Hyper palatable. They spend billions on. I think it was what's the cookies? Oh God, I don't eat them. But the black cookies with the cream, the chocolate ones with the cream in the middle, Oreos. I think there was a study or something they said about that evidence of them testing out different recipes on kids, and until they get the kid wouldn't stop eating. He'd eat one packet and then stop. They would have 10 and stop. They'd have this guy here wouldn't stop eating. Okay, that's the recipe. Now they put it out. You're not going to finish a packet. You're not going to leave after having 2 biscuits because they've made the recipe that so hyper palatable, so orgasmic that you just keep on eating and eating and eating. They know what they're doing. They've done it before, and we are just people who are just falling into the trap.
Yeah, that's the kettle crisp for me. So like it's not just kettle crisp the brand, but it's that type of crisp where it's like I don't know the type, but it's like a baked one or whatever. But the last time I had those, I had 150 grams, which is probably 5 packets of crisps, because a packet of crisps is about 30 grams. So I had the whole packet, and I felt awful.
Oh
A
yeah,
bit like where
can't stop.
I remember a Victor Meldrew once where he said, "I feel sick. I've just had a full Cadbury's Big Bar kind of thing."
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, the kettle crisps have got more addictive, and so it's just like don't have them. So I just don't have them in the house. And then I get the cravings on an evening. So it's just like, yeah, if I can get past that craving, because the cravings only last a little bit. And we're mostly old foods. So Vicky, my partners, are really good in the kitchen. we do barbecues a lot as well. So I've got this thing. My sister has got like this saying where she says, "I don't want to waste my hunger on something that like when you get sausages, they've either got any meat in them or something, or you got something. I'd rather have like a ribeye steak than I don't know, a crop steak, or like sort of like a cheaper steak. I'd rather pay more and have a better
Yeah,
um
I
you know
think you like one of my clients this morning, first week, just getting used to eating more protein, and she can't eat anywhere near enough, and she's normally eating a lot more. So now she's struggling to eat 1700 calories because there's lots of chicken, cottage cheese, eggs, steak, fish, and she's full up. She's not getting cravings at 8 o'clock at night because she's full up from protein.
yeah
But if it was the week before, and it would be a croissant, chocolate bread, Cocoa Pops, granola, sandwich, some crisps, a meal deal, she wouldn't get enough protein. 8 o'clock at night, she's had 2,500 calories, but she's still hungry
mm,
because she hasn't had enough protein. Protein is called something called protein bias. If you don't eat enough protein, you're going to be hungry because your body hasn't had it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between hungry for protein and hungry for food. So your brain doesn't go, oh, you need to eat some chicken. Your brain will say you're hungry. And what you're going to do, you're going to go to, and what's in the cupboard? Some really nice processed food. Or there's a tin of tuna. You're not going to open a tin of tuna at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. You're going to go for the donuts or the crisps or the chocolate or the puddings. So protein bias is a thing, and it's hard to, if you're getting cravings at night, it's because you haven't had enough protein or you haven't had enough water. So you probably heard before that you could be dehydrated and your body doesn't know if you're hungry or dehydrated. So there's a tip: down a pint of water and wait 5 minutes and see if you're still hungry then. Go to the fridge and have a look at the tin of tuna and see if you're really hungry. It's going to happen. That's a habit of snacking, or a lack of protein, or a lack of water. And also, if you're not sleeping properly, then you're going to be more, your brain is tired and fatigued. You're more likely to make bad decisions. So you can't do that. But if you've got tricks in the fridge, Greek yogurt is a really nice snack.
I have that every day.
So if I go to the cupboard and if there was chocolate muffins, yeah, I'd go for that. Instead of that, there's Greek yogurt, there's some berries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. There's 0-calorie vanilla drops you can get from Amazon. And we put that in the yogurt. It tastes like ice cream. Put some strawberries in it. It tastes like Eton mess. It's beautiful. But it's 10, 15, 20 grams of protein instead of no protein, 50 grams of sugar and 50 grams of fat. There's tricks like that.
Yeah,
Definitely down a pint of water. Brush your teeth and down a pint of water. You won't be hungry.
and they're little wins, aren't they? They're a little morning routine. So I'm thinking of the times when I've been in a rut, with things and not felt motivated. And it's like, get some wins. So I'll get me sunshine. If you can in this country. Um,
Just go on holiday quick.
yeah, I know. That really resonates what you said. So I think my paradigm when I was growing up is that the satiation came from the carbs, like the potatoes and stuff like that. And we never really had rice. We were pretty much meat and two veg when I was
Potatoes and
growing
bread.
up.
Potatoes and bread. Potatoes and bread is peasant food, and the guys coming over from Asia, India, etc., or China is rice, and that's peasant food for them. So the farmers would eat that. My wife's family's from Yorkshire, so I've been to there, and they had Yorkshire pudding for starter,
Yeah,
Yorkshire pudding on the dinner, and then Yorkshire pudding with jam on for pudding. It's peasant food. We don't need to do that anymore. We're not in World War II. It's not rations anymore. We
yeah,
can eat some nice protein and vegetables and have a little bit of carbs. You don't need to have a massive plate of potatoes. When I lived in Ireland with my ex, and her dad used to have a roast dinner, and he had a separate plate with just a plate of potatoes. He was a big guy. And then 20 pints of Guinness, and then come home at the end of the night with £50 worth of Chinese food. So, yeah, very big guy. That's from the 1970s or before that, peasant food. We don't need to eat like that anymore. There's so much food everywhere. Chimp Paradox. Have you done the Chimp Paradox book?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the monkey brain.
yeah. So your limbic system, your monkey brain, worrying about when is it going to get any calories ever again. So you just eat and eat and eat and eat. But a monkey in the jungle is struggling to find food and they're working hard. Or a lion's got to run after a gazelle to get it. It's hard work. But we're humans. We've got a fridge, a cupboard, and Asda's open 24 hours a day. We get Deliveroo. We haven't got to struggle for it. So the monkey brain can overtake the human brain and just keep eating. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I've been doing intermittent fasting in an extreme way, and I don't know what your opinion will be on this, but I'll kind of describe my, my kind of journey on that.
Mm.
I can't say when I first started doing it, but it must have been. I think I'd watched Wolverine, and I'd heard that Hugh Jackman were doing a 10 well 6 intermittent fast
Did
and
you get?
fasting for
And he was
16
also
hours.
on human growth hormone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's not
And
just chicken and rice. Yeah, it's not just
Clenbuterol.
chicken and rice and broccoli,
Yeah.
is it? And then yeah, and then I thought I'd take it to another extreme, and I started just eating on an evening. Now I'm not sure if that's the right thing because I know you've heard of Brian Johnson, haven't you?
Which one's that? The one who wants to live forever?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, millionaire, billionaire, sold a company, had an exit.
He
I think
takes
it was Silicon Valley
takes
one,
blood
and
out of
then
his takes blood out of his son every morning.
yeah, yeah, and then he stops eating at 11 a.m. and he goes to bed at 8 p.m. So he's not eating 9 hours before he goes to bed, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But that is a human experiment, isn't it? And it's not for everybody. For me, I found that I was naturally quite busy. Like I've not had anything to. I've had a coffee today, and I'm drinking this fizzy water from Lidl or Aldi or whatever.
Black coffee or white coffee?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say. It spiked me insulin. I had milk in it, so I'm not fasting.
You're not fasting, no.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to get more into black. It's just that I've got a really good coffee machine and it does a good flat white, and
If you
I'm
got
kind of
really good coffee, then black should be fine. But I did a video on social media the other day. I don't think people like coffee. They don't. They like the sugar that's in the milk.
yeah,
People don't like Weetabix. Would you eat a bit of Weetabix out the box, or would you have it covered in milk and sugar?
yeah. It's the milk.
Yeah, it's the lactose in the milk, which is sugar. We don't actually like coffee. It tastes like mud.
Hmm. When I just have an
Half joking, was
espresso,
it?
yeah.
Pardon?
When I'm thinking about giving up coffee as well. I know Rob Moore's giving up coffee, or I think I saw a few months ago
Oh,
he'd given up
he only
coffee.
used to have one a day anyway, didn't he? Yeah,
I
that's what
think
he's
he
saying.
got to. He used to take a really expensive coffee machine abroad with him. So that was one thing. And then I watched one where he said he were having them spaced 4 hours apart, so we're having two or three a day.
Oh, right.
And then yeah, I'm not sure, really sure. And then I think I don't know if he started having more, but then he gave it up a few months ago. And what's your opinion on coffee then?
I love it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
have quite a lot of coffee. Um, I have sweetener, so people might complain about aspartame and stuff. So you can have stevia or stevia, which is a natural sweetener. It's quite bitter rather than sweet, so you just have a little bit. So if you've got a good coffee that you like and you put a sweetener in it, black coffee's fine. And after a week of doing it, you'll be fine. It's the habit again. You want a nice creamy coffee with the cream, the full fat, the fat and the sugar in the milk. Again, it's not ice cream. There's still a little bit of fat and a little bit of sugar, which is giving you a little dopamine. You can't stop it. So you keep going back again. If you have black coffee, you're not going to have 5, 6, 7 a day. You're going to have a few and go, yeah, that's all right. But if you have the milk, you're having lattes, which is a milkshake, and you keep going back for more because you can't stop. Fat and sugar together, it's hyper palatable. If you think about it in an evolutionary way, especially around this part of the world, at the end of the summer, autumn, before winter, you get fruit and you get nuts. Fruit and nuts is sugar and fat. So the cavemen that used to live around here would have sugar and fat before winter. It would make them fat, and they would survive the fast in winter when there was no food because there was winter. So sugar and fat makes you fat. Sugar and fat together. Ice cream, chocolate, cake, sugar and fat together makes you fat. Cavemen would have fruit and nuts before winter, and that would make them fat. for winter. So if you're having cake every day, or latte, or Cocoa Pops, cakes, whatever, sugar and fat, ice cream, or pizza, you're teaching your body to get fat for winter. Yeah?
To
If you're,
store. To
if you're having
store, yeah.
if you're having protein, if you wake up in the morning like bodybuilders, I'm not a bodybuilder, but I'm not trying to get on stage or get down to 4% body fat. But they would have steak and nuts for breakfast, and that's protein and fat and fiber in the nuts. So they're training their body to build muscle, testosterone, and burn fat. Okay, they're not having cake unless they're trying to get bigger, which sometimes they go through a bulking phase. They're going to do ice cream, pizza, cake because they want to get bigger. But most of us don't want to get bigger. 75 or even 90% of my clients don't want to get bigger. Some of them do, which is fine, and that's a different thing that we talk about normally, try how to get bigger. But that's ice cream, pizza, fat and carbs together. You spike your insulin, you spike your blood sugar, and then it goes into the cells. And if you're doing it right, as a bodybuilder does it with their weight training, really heavy weight training, they're growing their muscles, but they do grow a bit of fat as well. But most of us are not training bodybuilders. We're not doing 2 hours of massively heavy lifting every day, yet we're still eating the pizza and the ice cream. So we're not going to grow muscle, we're going to grow fat. Protein and fats help you to build muscle and burn fat. Protein and carbs, thinking of a bodybuilder that's trying to just grow muscle. Chicken and rice, they're going to grow muscle when they're doing the weight training. Protein and fats, as a general rule, like an egg. An egg is perfect, protein and fat. And then I add salads because salad bulks the meal out. It stretches your stomach. The receptors in your stomach when they get stretched, they tell your brain that you're full. So we have a little drink of orange juice. We don't get a swollen stomach. We don't get full up. We're still hungry, but we just had a load of sugar.
Yeah, yeah. But how many? Is it one? Is it still 1 gram of protein per pound of body fat?
In America, yeah. Over here we do 2 per kilogram.
What would you say?
Same. There's 2 pounds to a kilogram. So in America they'd say it in pounds. I'd say we go in kilograms. Around about 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. But I would say your ideal body weight. So if you're trying to lose 5 stone, you don't want to eat that much. You want to eat where you want to be.
Because I've not really shifted. There were these pairs of jeans that I couldn't fit into for a few years, and then I did the intermittent fasting, and then I got it down to like a 2 hour window. So we're eating between like 6 and 8, and that were through that that's because I was so busy in the business. I had no time to eat, basically.
Well, you would lose weight like that unless you're eating more calories than you need in that 2 hours, which would be a big dinner and a big dessert, 3-course meal or something like that. It depends what you're putting in there as well. And then if you're having coffees, are you having lattes, are you having 1 or 2? There's not many calories, so you're having less calories. But then again, there's other things that we have to start looking at our steps. So if you're sitting down at a desk all day, then you're not getting steps in, and that's part of a sedentary lifestyle. As they say, a sedentary lifestyle or sitting down is the new smoking, as they're saying. Sitting down is the new smoking because we're all sitting down these days. Back in the 70s and 80s, we were smoking and working on a building site. Nowadays, they stop smoking because it's bad for us, but now we're sitting down all day, 8 hours a day or more. That's pretty bad for us. For our back, for our core, and because we're not burning any calories. There's these walking platforms now that you can get, especially if you're working from home.
And when you've got a standing desk and you can...
Yeah.
That's what Rob Moore were doing last week.
There you go.
He were on a Zoom call, but he were on a treadmill.
Yeah. So it's a walking platform. It's only that high off the ground, so you can just slot it under your table, stand up, and you can just walk. You don't have to walk fast. Laying down burns X amount of calories per hour. Sitting down burns a little bit more. Standing up burns a little bit more. Walking burns more. Running, obviously, blah, blah, blah. You can't run all day. But you could literally stand up and just walk to make sure you get your 10,000 steps. Get on that treadmill if you haven't got time. Some guys are working, if you're running your own business as you are, you can be working from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. and you're literally stuck on a computer. Then it's time to look for a treadmill, because I'm sure you can do that. If you're working in an office, they're not going to let you do that. Then you've got to get to that office. Give yourself an extra half an hour each end to walk there and back. If you do 1 hour of walking, then you're going to get 10,000 steps easy.
Watching that reminds me. Well, like what I tend to do is I'm watching Tom Hardy doing some training for a film. I think it was Manson. So like that guy's been in prison a lot of his life.
Charles Bronson.
Why did I say Manson? Bronson. Yeah, Bronson. Yeah, Charles Bronson, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Tom Hardy was he had the kind of two bars where we're doing like almost like a pull up, but like an horizontal pull up. I'm not sure if that'd be like a lat kind of exercise. So a couple of kind of horizontal bars, which are like a D shape, without the bottom bit, if that makes sense. I don't know what they call those, but and then it was simulating being in solitary really. So we're doing like press ups, body weight exercises, pushing a wall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think that's effective? If you were, in prisons they have gyms, don't they? So they get some gym time. But do you think if you were in solitary, you could get like stronger by doing all these kind of body weight exercises, or
Yeah,
would you need weights? Do you think?
you'd have enough time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have enough time, and you wouldn't have much else to do.
You'd have enough time on your hands to do quite a few reps. And you could do squats and lunges and sit-ups and press-ups. And if there's something to pull on, so you can work your back. So yeah, the chin-up type of thing, chin-ups, then definitely, yeah, I'm sure you can. But you're going to have hours and hours and hours of doing it. Pretty boring. Probably find it hard. I think they might get 45 minutes a day to get allowed out to walk around. So unless you're walking around inside the thing in the cell, you're going to get that many steps. But they're probably not binging on Deliveroo and Just Eat and whatever it is. They're not getting McDonald's delivered to their cell, are they? They're getting porridge for breakfast and a couple of square meals. Not junk food. It's going to be properly done, and they're going to be controlled. But then again, I'm sure there's people in prison that get fat as well.
Yeah.
They probably get allowed to have presents brought in or something like cake.
Yeah, they might be sneaking stuff in and stuff like that. So, what percentage do you think of? Let's talk about something specific, like a KPI, like losing body fat. Like if somebody wanted to get to, if they were obese, technically, I don't know if you consider BMI being because you can have somebody who's really muscly and be technically obese.
I go with the stomach measurement around the belly button.
All right, so it's composition that you'll go with, body composition and different measurements.
Yeah, we don't say body fat percentage anymore. It's quite hard to get your body fat percentage done. You need to go and do a DEXA scan, which is like an MRI, and it's going to cost you 150 quid a go. Do you need that? If you've got the money for it, why not? Yeah, but you don't need that, because if you're looking at your stomach, if you're wearing 36, 30, 38 jeans, your belly is overhanging that, then your measurement is not 36, 38. Your measurement is what's around the belly button. So if most of my clients are over 40 years old, which means there's one risk factor of having a heart attack. Have their parents had a heart attack, mum or dad? That's the second risk factor of having a heart attack, because it's genetic. And then the third one is their stomach measurement around their belly button over 40 inches. That's a third risk factor of having a heart attack. So my first goal for most guys that come in is their waist over 40. Let's get that down. And then after that, then they feel better. They start getting momentum going, and they're happy with their photos. Their jeans start getting smaller, and they go, they want to wear 34-inch jeans, for example. Okay, we want your 34-inch jeans, but you also want your belly button to be the same. You don't want to have an overhang. You can't tuck your shirt in a suit and have an overhang and feel comfortable. So now they've got a goal of getting down to 34 or 36, whatever it is, but having them trousers and the belly button to be flush. Okay, and when you get down to there, you start to see the abs. And then they might go, right, I never really cared about abs, but I'm so close, why not push on a bit more? And then they start wanting to see their six-pack. And if you can see your six-pack, you're pretty lean. And that's the way I look at it. I used to do calipers 15 years ago. I used to do body skin fold calipers. That could be down to user error, user judgment. It could be really wrong. Then you've got the scales that people buy nowadays. They put their foot on an electrode and they hold the electrodes. That's a load of bullshit. That's 150 quid they could have spent on a health coach for 3 months rather than just holding on to it sends a signal up their arms and up their legs, and then it goes back down. And the speed that it does that, the algorithm determines how much fat and how much muscle, because the electricity goes faster through fat than it does through muscle. But then
Done
it
that
doesn't
one at the gym. Yeah, I've done that one at the
yeah,
gym.
Tanita, yeah, but it doesn't account for water. Okay, and it probably only goes up to your shoulders and up to your thighs. It doesn't go through your stomach. And where's the most guys' body fat? In their stomach. So I've had guys come to me and they've got home ones and they're like, I'm 60% body fat. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not 60% body fat. And why did you buy them things? They're just beating you up. They're not. Let's not worry about that. Let's measure your waist, and then let's have a look at your jean size, and then let's have a look and see your abs.
Have you seen? Have you heard of a guy called Samuel Leeds?
No, I don't think so.
He's a property guy. He's got a property course. He's done a big transformation. He's gone from quite obese to pretty much in shape. And we were both talking about Rob Moore earlier. He did a little boxing match, about 3 rounds, and
Did they?
yeah, against Rob Moore, they did a little charity thing. They were a bit, they had to get into that mode, to fight each other, I suppose. But
Head
and
guards, huh?
yeah, he did it. Yeah, he did the big transformation. It was really interesting. He looks completely different in his face and everything. A completely different guy, and he's kept it up as well. And I think he started getting. He seems to be getting fitter and fitter as well. It's just, I think what you said earlier about it can be, once you get into it, you need to do the gym, don't you? You need to do the exercise, or you can feel quite low mode if you don't.
Yeah, there's endorphins and serotonins, and you can get them from alcohol, drugs, smoking, porn, gambling,
Yeah,
working. So business owners, people that are going to courses and events, they get these things. There's addictions to get your happy hormones, but there's good addictions, and I think exercise, as long as you don't get injured or run over on a site when you're cycling, then it should be good for you. So exercise is a good habit.
What if I feel? Should I go to the gym if I feel like, if I feel run down? Should I
Mm.
let me? Should I rest?
There's
Because
always
you can overtrain, can't you?
man, not many people are overtraining.
Hmm.
Not many people. There's a saying that goes around called overtraining. You could be training wrong. Um, Overtraining more like under recovered. So if you're not sleeping properly because you're drinking beer and your body's up all night metabolizing alcohol rather than repairing your body. So when you sleep, your body should be repairing. If you're metabolizing alcohol or caffeine, then you're not. So you haven't recovered. That's more like it. But not many people, general public, are going to overtrain. Um, if you're doing it wrong, like if you're training the same body part of weights every day, then that's not right. You should be resting for 48 hours before you do legs again, resting before you do chest again, 48 hours. So we might do a split in the gym where we do legs on a Monday, chest on a Tuesday, pulling back biceps on a Wednesday, and then repeat. So you've rested that body part for a couple of days. So this is only if you're lifting properly. Most people going to the gym on their own probably ain't, like I never used to know what to do properly. So I don't know, everybody's different. Overtraining is hyper use, but yeah, your question reminds me of a guy who used to say, if you're sick from here upwards, like in your chest or a headache, go to the gym. If you're sick from there downwards, don't come in because you're going to make everybody else sick. If you've got a stomach bug, so if you've got a stomach bug, stay in. If you're ill up here, then naturally circulating your breathing is going to be helpful. So I like
Yeah,
to
just
think of
it's
that.
just like, I suppose, or a question about when do you push yourself with the discipline, or when do you actually say, right, I need to rest to recover the body? I suppose
Yeah.
if you've got the flu and you can't move, then you're not going to be able to have very good technique in the gym, and you're going to spread it to everybody else anyway, aren't you? So
So recoveries or active recoveries. So I just did. We just went on a cycle trip in the Alps and the Dolomites. We cycled up about 5 mountains for 6 days, and that was really hard on the body. When I came back, I didn't do any exercise at the gym, but I went and walked the dog fast-ish for an hour a day. So I still got some. My heart rate was about 110 instead of 155. So I got some gentle exercise in, even though I felt like crap. I've got some gentle exercising. So yeah, if you've got the flu and you take some Sudafed, can you go for a walk? It's going to help. Getting out, getting nature, getting the air in. I find in the winters great. In the morning, get outside and get that freezing cold air into your lungs. So all the germs, they can't live with that. You get cold air. That's why we put food in the fridge, because germs can't grow in the cold air. So if you go outside and it's freezing cold in January, get that cold air in you. I used to work on a building site when I was younger. I never got ill because you'd be flat out drinking, smoking, eating junk food, and out training, basically training, exercising for 8 hours a day, but never got ill because you'd have that fresh cold air in there. So yeah, if you feel like your head's banging, then you're not going to go in and do a personal best on deadlifts or whatever it is, or a CrossFit workout when you're going flat out at 170 beats per minute. But you can do something. You can get on an exercise bike and just turning your legs over, get your heart rate up a little bit.
You
stimulate your immune system by building up your heart rate. So I think it would be good for you. But sorry, go on.
So you get your blood pumping and you get moving around and carrying oxygen around and getting nutrients to the right place.
Like Wim Hof. Wim Hof's just breathing fast and it helps his immune system. If we're doing the exercise bike or going out walking or running or whatever, then we're breathing fast, the same. Yeah. Stimulate your immune system.
What about have you heard of the fasting of about 3 days or so? Is it all so definitely not spiking your insulin and getting into inflammation and
autophagy?
That's I'm trying to think of the word. I've watched a few Diarrhea CEOs on that. There's been a few guys on talking about that, and then I recently watched one. I watched a bit of one yesterday, and I can't remember the guy's name. Is on Instagram. Is something to do with something Father Christmas. Anyway, he's got this big beard, and he were talking about it as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, we've got to be careful with studies. The guys on a podcast like CEO or whatever big podcasts like Joe Rogan, they're normally advertising their book. On Joe Rogan, they're advertising their new book, their new film, or they're trying to get something for their agenda. And on the CEO, probably advertising something as well. They might be a shareholder in a supplement company. Like, if you do a fast for 5 days, you need to take magnesium to keep your electrolytes up. Oh, by the way, I'm a shareholder in a magnesium supplement company, but they don't tell you that. There might be a link underneath, subliminal message, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then you buy it. Or you follow him on Instagram and his adverts have got this supplement company on it. So you've got to be careful. But the studies that they do say, autophagy, which is where, so basically on a normal day, a normal person, our cells, when we eat protein, our cells get repaired. So your cells get repaired and they die and then you get new cells. But basically we're keeping our cells in your skin, your bones, your muscles, your eyes, everything is being repaired every single day. Autophagy means to eat itself. So if you don't eat protein or anything, enough calories, so you're fasting, then the cells eat them damaged cells and rebuild brand new ones. This is what autophagy, the theory, the study, whether it's true or not, I'm not signing it, but this is what they're saying. Yeah, autophagy means that your cells actually die and then you build new cells. So if it's true, then that's good, because you've got an old car and you're driving from London to Scotland 5 times a week and you keep getting it serviced and you keep getting it serviced. It's 1985 car. It's the same car, but it's been serviced. Or get rid of that car and get a brand new car. The brand new one's better. So new cells. That's the idea of fasting. I think you need to be careful if you're already really thin. You need to be careful if you've got diseases. You need to be careful if you've got hyperthyroid. You need to be careful if you're a lady because of menstrual cycles. Definitely wouldn't do it if you're type 1 diabetic, because your blood sugar cannot be increased. Type 2 diabetics beneficial because you're not spiking your blood sugar. So then your body starts. So what happens with sugar and glucose or lactose or fructose? It goes into your stomach, it gets digested, it goes into your blood, and now you've got a blood sugar. That blood sugar or blood glucose needs to go from the blood into the muscle cells. a healthy person that's done weight training and has got a lean body, that sugar, your pancreas produces insulin. Insulin connects to the glucose. Now the muscle cells have insulin receptors sticking out. So as it flows past the muscles, the insulin connects to the insulin receptor and pulls that glucose into the muscles. If you've been sitting down for a long time at a desk, eating croissants and chocolate and cake for 10 years, and you're not doing weight training and you're obese, now you haven't got much muscle anyway, so you've got less insulin receptors, but then also your muscles can turn insulin receptors off. Because you just keep having loads and loads of sugar, your pancreas keeps making more and more and more insulin, and now the insulin's getting on the muscles' nerves, so the muscles turn the insulin receptors off. Oh, we're bored of this because we're full up. We're not big enough to absorb all this glucose. But you keep giving us more glucose, like trying to put more petrol in the petrol tank, but it's full up. So they turn it off. When you're fasting, you don't have any glucose, so then you stop producing so much insulin. Your pancreas gets a rest, but then your muscles start to want the glucose. So then your muscles can start to sprout new insulin receptors. So now you're reversing your insulin sensitivity or desensitivity, or you're reversing pre-diabetes, and you're becoming insulin sensitive again. So then when you bring the carbohydrates back in, or the calories, your muscles are ready to absorb it. You've got to give your muscles time to delete, to empty, and then you put the glucose back in there. That should be a healthy cycle. But a lot of people are just putting glucose in there. So you have pasta, like a spaghetti bolognese and a garlic bread and a cake for dinner. Right? That's going to fill up even the biggest of muscles. You don't do any weight training at night time when you're asleep. So your muscles are still full up in the morning. Then in the morning you have granola or porridge or bananas or Cocoa Pops or a latte. So now you're trying to put sugar into the muscles again, but they're still full up from last night. We need to empty them before that's going to go in there. So what happens is it goes down to your liver converts the sugar into fat, and you can store fat. There's no end to new fat cells. They keep going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. There's only a certain limit to how much glucose, it's called glycogen when they store it in muscles. There's only so much glycogen, glucose you can store in your muscles. And that's genetic. You're only going to get this muscly with your body unless you start taking steroids and you get bigger and bigger and you can eat more and more. So there's only so much glucose you can have, but to be efficient at absorbing them glucose into your muscles is where you want to be. So having less glucose, eating less calories, fasting, and doing exercise like weight training, which is going to increase your muscle, stretch your muscles so that they start sprouting new insulin receptors. They start asking for glucose. Muscles should be asking for it, rather than we're knocking at the door. We've got more sugar here, and the muscles go, no, I'm full. Can't take any more. If we filled up your car with petrol, I don't know if you've got a battery or a petrol car or a diesel.
Diesel.
You fill up your car with diesel when you get home tonight. When you wake up in the morning, go straight to the closest petrol station and try and fill it up again. You can't. You've got to use up that diesel before you can put it in again. That's the way I like to think about it. A healthy person. Go on.
So, in a nutshell, then, with my understanding, you risk or you get type 2 diabetes by overloading your body with too much of the wrong food.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So, if you've got
if you do the opposite, if you do the fasting, that's actually going to give your body a rest, more of a rest, so it can rebuild.
You don't need to fast. You could just have less sugar, so you can still eat protein and fat, which is essential. You need protein for your bones and your skin. It's called essential because your body cannot make it, so you need to eat it every day. If you fast for a long time, you're going to start losing muscle and losing bone and losing hair and skin. Fat is essential. Some of the fats that are essential fatty acids, because you cannot make them. So your brain needs fat, your central nervous system, your hormones, your eyes, the tears, this polyunsaturated fat. It's essential that you eat that because your body cannot make it. But glucose can be made in your liver. So if you're not type 1 diabetic, if you get a low blood sugar, which you would get from fasting and stuff, then you get a signal sent to your liver. Sorry, your signal goes to your pancreas. The pancreas makes the opposite to insulin, which is called glucagon. Glucagon then sends a signal to your liver, to make glucose, and now your liver will make glucose. So that's called gluconeogenesis. So it brings your blood sugar back up to where it wants to be. If you get too low, then you faint. You get a hypoglycemic attack, you can faint. So a type 1 diabetic is dangerous because if you get a type 1 means their pancreas is broken. It doesn't make insulin or glucagon. So if they have too much sugar, then they inject insulin. So that does the job of the pancreas. But if they have a low blood sugar, then they might need to take, their pancreas is not going to make glucagon, so it's not going to send a signal to their liver to make glucose. The liver's not going to make glucose, so they're not going to get their blood sugar up. So they need to be fast. They need to go and get some Lucozade or some sugar to bring their sugar back up. That's type 1. But a normal person, they can make it. So it's not essential. So they're going round a long way. Protein, amino acids, and fat is essential because we cannot make it. We need it. Glucose is not essential, as in the word, because we can make it. So you don't need to fast to reverse your diabetes. It can be beneficial to have less calories and less carbs. If you have less carbohydrates, then you're going to have less glucose. Then your muscles are going to start to want glucose. Then you're going to start the process of reversing your type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, insulin insensitivity. I look at it as a scale from here to here, and A is a fit athlete, and or a hyperthyroid skinny person. They need to eat all day long carbohydrates and don't do any cardio because they're going to get smaller. They're trying to get bigger and bigger. Eat ice cream and do weights and get bigger. Then the normal person has got an active job like a scaffolder. They're quite lean. They can eat what they want, a balanced diet, because they're burning off what they're eating. The sugar's going into their muscles because they're a scaffolder. It's heavy. Then we've got another person, the next one down, who's never done exercise, didn't like sports day, didn't like doing football and rugby, so then they got a little bit fat. They preferred the Xbox and the computer coding, so they sat down, and then sitting at the desk, it's easy to have lattes and cake. So now they've never exercised, they've had too much sugar, and they start to put on fat because their insulin receptors have gone down, so they're not absorbing the sugar, they're converting it into fat, and they keep getting fatter and fatter. That's fine, but if they're happy there, that's fine. They might not be happy, which is not fine, then they need to start reversing it. But next stage after that is pre-diabetes, which means you're nearly diabetic, so your pancreas is working very hard, but you've not got many insulin receptors on your muscles, and you're very close to the point of having a chronic high blood sugar. So even though you're not eating carbs today, your blood sugar is still high. That's a type 2 diabetes. So you're close to having that. And the way they mark that out is HbA1c, hemoglobin blood test. If they do that, they can see how high your blood sugar's been on average for the last 3 months or 6 months. And if it's been above 6 to 9 millimoles, then you're in a diabetic range. If you don't know anything about that, you end up with diabetes, and then they give you medication. And if you don't do anything about type 2 diabetes, you can kill your pancreas and end up with type 1. Some people are born with type 1. That's a totally different thing. That's a genetic, what do they call it? It's immune system problem.
Your sister got it when she was about 12 or 13.
Yeah, you can have it very young. It's not your lifestyle.
Yeah, type 1.
Type 2 is lifestyle, but that can lead to type 1, which is caused by your lifestyle, which is when your pancreas is broken, doesn't work. Now you're reliant on injecting insulin for the rest of your life. If you eat carbohydrates, you watch your blood sugar go up, then you have some insulin to make your blood sugar come back down all day. And if your kid's got it, it's very, very scary for the parent. They've got to monitor their kid's blood sugar throughout the night. But we're not. I'm not talking about type 1s. I can't be a doctor. But type 2 lifestyle diabetes can be treated and can be put into remission, stroke reversed. And the way we do that is having less sugar, start weight training, start building up your muscles, start building up emptying the muscles of glycogen every day and retraining your body. So they might have less carbs for a little while, lose a bit of weight, and then they might start bringing carbohydrates back in. So whether that's rice or potatoes or sweet potatoes or whatever they like, even fruit. But they have that after their weight training. So when you do weight training, your muscles get pumped. They're ready to absorb sugar. Then you have the sugar, and it's training your body now what to do with the sugar again. Because for the last 25 years, you've taught your body to make sugar into fat because you're not absorbing it. Now we've got to retrain your body. We're carving a river through the mountain again. We're starting again, and you do it very sporadically, not sporadically, in the right process. So we do weight training, then we have carb. We call it post-workout carbs. So you have your carbohydrates post-workout, after the workout, and if you do that
When
for a
you say
little while,
carbohydrates, where are you getting that carbohydrates? What's your source?
carbohydrates, as I said, could be from rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes.
And it's white, not brown. Or
It doesn't matter.
in
Doesn't
terms of
matter.
your rice.
Rice. I wouldn't have brown rice myself.
Well, see, it's meant to be. I've heard some bad things about brown rice.
A couple of things. It tastes like shit. Second thing, it has more gluten on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thirdly, for my purpose, the reason that we're doing it is to get glucose into your muscles. So if you have brown rice or brown pasta or brown bread, then you've got fiber in there. It's gonna slow down that process because your body has to digest. It has to break down the fiber to get to the glucose.
Hmm.
Post-workout carbs, we want to get glucose into your muscles fast. So white rice. People, some bodybuilders, they just have protein and sugar because after the weight training, you can't put on fat because your muscles are absorbing that sugar if you have the right amount. So yeah, by doing that strategically, you can get that down, get off the medication, which I just helped my client Mike in 90 days. He was on 3 medications, got rid of 2 of them, got 1 left. So over the next 3 months, we should get rid of that, and that's what I class as reversed his diabetes. 52 years old. He's gone down from he lost 6 inches off his waist, and he's lost 24 pounds. He's now lighter than he was when he got married 25 years ago. But all great results. I'm so proud of him. But we've done that, taken away them carbohydrates. And he's not. He works from home, busy man, and he's got a treadmill at home, and he's got some dumbbells at home in his shed, and he just does 20 minutes of that and 20 minutes of that 5 times a week. And that's how he's got it. Brilliant. And the next phase will be to start bringing the carbohydrates back in. And yeah, it depends. Carbohydrates, it depends.
Because you've got like, I mean, I suppose if you cut out bread, that's something for a lot of people. Because when you get nice, fresh white bread, that's a wonderful thing.
Peasant
That,
food, yeah. Let's
yeah,
go.
it's one of my
Yeah,
kind of downfalls. Not the kind of mainstream, sliced. I like to get and slice it myself from the market. I don't buy it very often though, but that is one of my things I'd say in terms of white bread.
I
But it's not a daily thing.
look forward to having it as a treat. It's like
Mm.
as you say, you don't drink at all now, but there's not a problem with somebody having a drink once a week or once a fortnight. Uh,
Mm.
so let's have a look at cake and bread and things. If you're obese, like that. If you're a skinny person, eat the bloody bread and do it and get on with it. But if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to reverse insulin insensitivity, if you're trying to reverse pre-diabetes and diabetes, you're trying to lose a lot of weight, then looking forward to your toast or your bread as a treat. So I like now where I'm at now. I don't eat bread in the morning for breakfast. I actually eat my breakfast about 11, but it will be protein and fats and fiber. And I look forward to an English breakfast once a week on a Saturday or a
Yeah.
Sunday, and
Mm.
I look forward to that. If I had a habit like in the old days, I would be having one every day or more, maybe 2 a day, because it's a habit. But if you can look forward to it as a treat, okay, I'm going to see my mates once a fortnight down the pub. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm going to have a drink twice a week, twice a month, and then again, I'm going to have a fry up once a week. But what I do now is eat what we call healthy, as in low carbohydrate, Monday to Friday, or around my training. I'll have carbs around my training, and at the weekend I'll relax. And because I'm with my kids and my wife, we'll just do whatever. I'm not going to put this onto everybody. I don't want to regain diabetes, so I still maintain my health in the week, and at the weekend I relax and we do whatever. We went to the village fete, and we had a massive ice cream and a cheeseburger. But that's not going to kill me because I'm not doing it every day. I'm not doing it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, seven
Yeah.
days a week.
Similar to me. Yeah. I like to have a. It's not every weekend, but a fry up on a Sunday is one of my things. Vicky makes a fantastic fry up, and yeah, occasional bacon sandwich, but it's mostly our go-to is we'll have fajitas, we'll have like chicken and rice, with like a sauce and stuff like that, and then we have chicken gyros
Yes.
Just a lot of that kind of thing. Well, Vicky will make an homemade curry. I'll stick some burgers on the
Yeah.
barbecue, but they're always high quality meat from a farmer's shop kind of thing.
We had the gyros salad last night
Mm.
with tzatziki, loads of salad, no bread. Um, the chicken we're having a stir fry or a salad. So we're having loads of veg, bulking out a massive bowl of peppers and onions and broccoli, courgette, mushrooms, but without the bread, without the rice, because I don't need it. I prefer myself. I have a bowl of porridge before as I'm pudding at bedtime. So I'm refilling my glycogen from the weight training today, and that's going to be there for my exercise tomorrow. And I do it like that. And at the weekend, I just do whatever I want. But it depends. Everybody's different. Everybody needs a different bit of guidance. Some people just need to break down bad habits. Some people need to really, if they want to lose 52 kilos, they need to really sort their lives out and eat protein and fats and vegetables and cut down on carbs, which also is breaking down a habit. So there's two birds with one stone. If they are quite lean and they want to get more muscle or they just want to see their six pack, and we can have the carbs post workout, sometimes pre workout and post workout. So the carbs can fuel your workout to make you lift heavier. But it depends. How heavy are we lifting? Are we just going through the motions, or are we really trying, really intense? Like I say to my clients, if you do one more rep, I'll give you £1,000,000. Yeah. No, I can't do another rep. All right, if I give you £1,000,000, oh yeah, I could do it. All right, so you didn't really try that hard. So that it depends how hard everybody's training. So everyone's different. Everybody's goal is different. Everybody's metabolism, everybody's history, their current body fat percentage. Everyone's different. Their work, their steps. Are they out walking the dog every day or not? So everybody's different. The thyroid. Some ladies have a fast thyroid and they are slim, and some people have a hypothyroid, very slow metabolism, and they just look at a cake and they put on weight. So everyone's different. Can't just do a blanket general thing for everyone. That don't work.
Yeah, so it's not a one. There's not a silver bullet. There's not a one size fits all. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Just thinking about guys like Arnie. Then obviously, these days, I think he's into his 70s and he's very high rep but low weights and stuff like that. And
Yeah, but you look at
how
his history. Yeah, let's go back with his history. He started doing steroids at 13,
yeah,
and
he's had some art ops as well, has he?
yeah. He's had that, and then he was on this Netflix thing saying he was a vegan.
Did you watch the? It was like the Cribs kind of thing, and he had some stakes in for guys when they came. He said, "I'm not really a vegan." Is that the one you're on
Of
about?
course, yeah. I've not seen it, but I don't believe that for a second. I believe that he got paid to be on a documentary. It's a big movement at the moment for plant-based food. Vegans, why do they make something look like meat? Why does it have to
How
be
do you
a?
get B12 when you're a vegan?
I'm not a vegan expert, but you take supplements probably. You can get. It's not the vitamin B12. It's the amino acids. So in an animal food, you get all the essential amino acids. Remember, I said protein is essential because you cannot make it. So it's essential that we eat it. Now, vegans, I think there's like 14. I can't remember 14 amino acids in a steak or a chicken or an egg. You get all of the amino acids. So you've now supplied your body with all the essential amino acids, protein. As a vegan, you might have beans, which has 7 of the amino acids, and then you'd have brown granulary toast, which has the other 7 amino acids. So if you have beans on granulary toast, you're getting a complete meal. Not, but there's quite a lot of
So baked
carbohydrates.
beans on granary toast.
Yeah, is a complete meal for the amino acids. But that's as far as I'm aware. My knowledge goes into being a vegan because I'm not a vegan. I
So
don't.
you've got one extreme as a vegan, another extreme as carnivore.
Yeah,
You kind of sit in
I love salad.
just good old foods and getting all your macros and your micronutrients.
I love salad. Um, yeah, you're not going to get any sugar into your muscles, so it depends if you want to build any muscles. Being a carnivore, I eat a lot of meat and I eat a lot of fish, eggs, cheese, but I love salad. And it's not because of the vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. It's not that. It's because it's 90% water. So when I eat it, it takes me half an hour. If I eat one ribeye steak, take me 1 minute. If I have a ribeye steak on a massive bowl of salad, it's going to take me 25 minutes. I'm going to stretch my stomach with the salad. The stomach lining has receptors that sends a signal to my brain to tell me I'm full up and get the feeling full hormone. Can't think of it. But you're then I'm not going to be hungry again in a minute. If I had a ribeye steak, then I'm going to be hungry again, and I'll probably have another ribeye steak because I'm not. It's the same as when somebody drinks their calories. The brain doesn't register it.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
So yeah, being a carnivore, fine. Vitamins and minerals, probably. It wasn't scurvy to do with that. Vitamin C. They didn't.
Vitamin C.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
Something
read
that's
somewhere that there's more vitamin C in milk than orange juice. I don't know if that's correct or not.
yeah. I think vitamin C is only needed to help you digest carbohydrates, sugar. So it would be in milk because there's lactose in milk. But if you're carnivore, you don't need vitamin C. I don't know if it's true because you don't need vitamin C to digest carbs. But what is the long-term effects? Probably nothing because I think Eskimos, going back for the last 100 years, Inuits never had any vegetables because it doesn't grow there in Alaska and the North Pole or wherever they live. So they drill into the snow and they eat fish and seals. So they're not carnivore, but they only eat fish or meat. I suppose if there's elks there, they have that. So they are carnivores. They were quite healthy leading up to 1900 whatever. It went until the Americans came along and started giving them corn. So yeah, it's okay. It's not for me because I like salad. I like the taste. I like to bulk out my meals. I like to. So I've seen guys that TikTok and stuff, and they're doing carnivore 1 meal a day, and then they're eating this steak. But it's very hard. I need 2,500 calories a day. So it's very hard for me to eat 2,500 calories in 1 meal every day. I don't believe that these guys on TikTok are just doing 1 meal a day. I think they're doing that for the TikTok video because they get 1 million views and then they sell some magnesium or whatever. I don't believe most people are doing it. I mean, the guys that I did Kilimanjaro with in Tanzania, in the off season, they haven't got any work. They're living off 1 meal a day because they can't afford food. It's not something they want to do, and they are very, very, very skinny. They're starving. It's not something I would want to do or recommend. You need a
What
lot of
about
calories.
what about to kind of challenge you on that? If like under Gavra, they would have only said if they were hunting a beast, they would only really eaten like more like a lion, wouldn't they? Where they were eating 1 meal a day because they wouldn't have known how
Why would
to.
they only eat 1 meal a day though? Is that true? Is that 100% true?
I don't know. I don't
No,
know. But I
I
don't
don't
think they
know.
would have been eating like.
They can hunt. They can hunt, and they can have. That's where jerky comes from. They smoke out the meat so that it doesn't get flies on it. So they
And they
can
did that
hunt.
underground as well, didn't they? They did the jerk underground because there were the slaves who were fleeing.
Don't know, but
I think, yeah,
you've
in
got
in Jamaica.
you've got. They do preserve food, but also they've got more. They've got lots of berries and nuts and stuff, and they eat tubers, which is like sweet potato, but not loads. They probably have one between them per day, so they wouldn't have many carbs. But
Could have had some berries that they
yeah,
might have
they're not.
then
Why?
got a
There's no,
wild
there's no
boar or
evidence to
whatever
say
like
that
that.
they only ate one a day.
There's
Um,
no, yeah. I don't know that much about it, but they wouldn't have been having like they would have been getting
they
a lot
wouldn't be
more
snacking.
exercise. They would have been quite lean, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
assuming.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Do you think? But maybe not having. They wouldn't have been having like a bodybuilder's diet, like 5 or 6 meals a day
No,
or
no.
anything like that. I'd say
But
so.
they probably weigh 60 kilos.
Yeah.
All right. So they'd need
What's that
102
in pounds? Would you say about?
times.
Okay. So
They'd need
very slim. Yeah.
they'd need 120 grams of protein if they were talking. That's our general public for today. It's not cast in stone. It's a guide.
Mm.
Try to get there. If you're an athlete, if you're doing training, if you're doing exercise, try to get there. Because the more protein you eat, the more satiated you are, the more muscle you get, the higher your metabolism, the more food you can eat. I think the reason we try to get this more muscle is so that we can eat more. Because we've got so much food, I need to get a higher metabolism because I've got food coming out of my cupboards, my fridge, and Just Eat knocking at the door. I need to get a higher metabolism so I can eat more. But they're a hunter-gatherer, don't need to eat more. They are working for their food like a lion, and the females would go gathering, so they would have food, and then the hunters, the men, would go hunting. And yeah, I don't know whether they had smoked meat and stuff all around all the time. A lot of them were gathered around the sea or the water, so they would go fishing. They could get that every day. Maybe they get it in the morning and the evening. I don't know. But, I know that guys in Africa eating one meal a day are definitely not happy. And here, if I need to eat 200 grams of protein a day or 180 grams of protein in one meal, that's really, really hard. 5 tins of tuna.
But if you do it as an habit, if you do it over a few months, will that become normal?
What, eating 160 grams in one meal? I don't think I could.
Because the last few months, I mean, some days I won't eat until about 6 o'clock, 6 or 7, when Vicky gets home, and then she'll cook something. So I've not eaten all day,
Yeah.
and I've had probably 3 coffees with milk.
You do it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I can do it about 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
and then weekends it's pretty much.
Yeah. So
I
you
never have.
might only eat 100 grams on Wednesday, but you're eating 3,000, 5,000 calories on a
I'm not
Friday.
getting enough protein, so I am probably. I'm not. I haven't gone up to. I'm not saying I've got an optimum macro and
But
micronutrients.
what people do with their calories is I only ate 1,600 calories Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So why ain't I lost weight? Well, because Friday and Saturday and Sunday they've eaten 5,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Their average calories over the week rather than the day.
There's 1,000 calories in a Big Mac.
Yeah, well, a bottle of wine is 1,000 calories.
Yeah, a beer's 200 or 300, isn't it? Is it about 250? So you can have 4
Yeah,
beers
yeah.
and you're at 1,000.
There's
So
calories and they're not protein, are they?
no, it's empty calories.
A pizza is thousands of calories. A tub of ice cream, 1,000 calories. It's easy to get calories in when you're not eating the right food, but when you're eating steak, chicken, salad, stir fries, eggs, then you're like, oh God, I'm still eating. Why haven't I hit my big calorie goal? It's because now you're eating real food.
Yeah,
Calorie dense, calorie sparse, nutrition dense.
exactly.
High in vitamins and minerals, low in calories. And then you get to eat more. I like eating. People like eating.
Yeah, that's why the little it's dangerous white sugar, because the little Cadbury's chocolate mini rolls, not picking on Cadbury's at all, but they're 200 calories. So if I start on them, I can have 4 or 5. So I can have over 1,000. I can have 1,000 calories. But if I was watching a guy on YouTube. He did like the Bear Grylls type thing. He was dropped off on a desert island. He had some tools. He had a machete. He got some coconuts for the water. He did some. He found some still water. He did some, boiling that and everything,
Yeah.
filtering it out. And then he was fishing, and he was catching these little fish. And he said, that's only 150 calories. I need how many of those? So he started.
What's his name?
Really
Ed
hungry.
something or other, isn't it? I know, the bald guy.
Yeah.
He was sick because he ate the seashell like mollusks, and it gave him food poisoning.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, but
Yeah, it was great program.
It's interesting, really interesting, and really well made. And
He lost a lot of weight. He lost a lot of weight that week. Was it a week or a month? I can't remember. But he lost a lot of weight because he couldn't get enough calories in, and he was eating coconut, but he was sick of it. three coconuts a day.
It's delicious. It's delicious. First couple of days, it's delicious, and then it starts to get.
No, I don't even like coconut. I'd eat it, but I wouldn't go out my way. When we was at the fair, the village fete the other day, and they were doing coconut. Knock the coconut off and you win a coconut, and my daughter was like, "Oh, you're going to do that?" And I said, "Okay, you're going to eat the coconut." She said, "No." I said, "Well, why am we going to do it then?" She won't eat coconut. Not a lot of people do. I don't mind it in a Bounty chocolate bar. It's all sugar. Yeah, I saw that, and that was great. Ed something or other. Not Milet. No, not Ed Milet. I can't remember his name. Marooned with Ed something or other. He was stuck in a desert island.
Yeah, there's a guy I've been watching in Alaska as well. He's doing, because I've recently gone to bushcrafting. and whittling, and I always try to. I've not got around to doing the bow to make a fire, but that's the next thing in the course. And I always tried to do it as a kid. I used to watch. I don't know if you remember 80s TV series Robin of Sherwood. So I always made bows and arrows. It's quite an old one. It's Robin of Sherwood. It used to be on
Yeah,
ITV or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
And they had a blonde-haired guy playing him, and then they changed it to a brown-haired guy. Completely different. Like they used to do in Neighbours Are Home and Away. Just
Yeah,
change the main
yeah, yeah,
actor,
yeah.
and then they were a different person. And then yeah, just I've just been getting more into nature anyway, and getting more into that kind of. Some stuff I've been watching on YouTube has been about the power of meditating next to a tree and stuff like that, and everything.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
suppose
in.
it's all linked into what you put in your body, doing your exercise. If you're into spirituality and stuff like that, and thinking in terms of energy, it's all kind of connected into and in terms of health and well-being. And I think a lot of stuff's preventative into a lot of stress-related diseases. If you just do the right things every day, and don't overpower your body with too many bad things, you're just going to have a easier time when you're older, aren't you? In terms of one thing I'm quite interested in is kind of at what point would I stop lifting quite heavy weights? Because your joints start to get kind of worn, and I'm just thinking I've done a bit of squash, I've done a bit of tennis as well. We used to play on hard courts. I've done a bit of kickboxing and stuff like that for a bit when I was in my 20s. I did a lot of karate. I used to be real into Karate Kid and Van Damme and all your action, 80s action, Arnie and stuff like that, and I'm been into that stuff. But you hear about a lot of. I'm certainly not a sports person, but I've been quite active. And I think I'm at a point now when I'm 45. I know I need to be doing more. I've cancelled my gym membership. Um, I can do 70 press ups, one after another. I can probably when I were really going to the gym, and this was I was probably at my peak when I were about 30, and that's 15 years ago. So kind of just unpacking this, how much muscle memory will I still have from that? And I'm probably in trouble as well if I don't start building muscle when I get older, when I'm in my 60s, 70s. Obviously, the more muscle you've got, the better mobility you're going to have. There's a correlation between that, isn't there? So I suppose the question is, what would I do to get back into the swing of things?
Hmm.
Some kind of baby steps for me.
First, you said, when should I stop lifting heavy? And I was like, I don't believe that if you're lifting too heavy, then you're hurting your joints. Then yeah, you're lifting too heavy. So you should lift. It should hurt your muscles, not your joints.
So good form, good technique, good form.
Nice and slowly. They call it time under tension. So if you're doing a shoulder press, 3 seconds down, 1 second up, 3 seconds, or even 4 seconds down.
Oh,
You're not going to get very heavy with that. If you're doing it really fast and you're doing heavy, then you're going to hurt your joints.
yeah.
It's the same with all the weight training. But yeah, you start losing testosterone from the age of 21 onwards. So your testosterone drops from 21. Then 30 is worse, 40 is worse, 50 is worse, 60 is worse. So then you're losing muscle mass. So it's more important to keep lifting weights as we get older and eating more protein so that we can keep our muscle, build our muscle, keep our testosterone higher. We don't want to be old, fragile, falling over in the ice and breaking your hip because you're weak with no muscle and no mobility. So weight training safely doesn't have to be really, really heavy. If you're like 12 reps, but really slowly, then it doesn't have to be really heavy. So there's about doing it right. This is why it's important to have a coach to make sure that you're doing it right and getting the right advice. Not going into the gym just thinking I want to lift as heavy as I can and standing telling your mates that you can do 100 kilos of something. It doesn't really matter. What do you look like? What do you feel like? How's your testosterone? How's your muscles? How's your body fat levels? Rather than how much you're lifting. Some people want to do that, and that's up to them. But as you get older, you should keep lifting, even more importantly, but doing it in a safe way, doing it slower, so you don't hurt your joints. It will be lighter. So when people want to lift heavier, if they're doing 50 kilos of whatever and they want to do 52 kilos, they're going to do it a bit faster, because lifting weights up and down for 45 seconds is harder than lifting weights up and down for 30 seconds. So if I do it faster, it's going to be easier, so I'll be able to lift heavier. But now I'm hurting my joints, I'm not hurting the muscles. So time under tension, how long is that muscle under tension? So it should be 45 to 55, 60 seconds. So 10 reps times 4 seconds down, 1 second up, 10 times 5 seconds is 50 seconds. That's going to be a lot harder than doing that for 30 seconds or 20 seconds. So slow it down, so then the weight is lighter. And now, oh no, they're going to look at me and see I'm only lifting 20 kilos, so I can't do that. I'm going to have to lift heavier and faster, so that when they look at me, I'm lifting 50 kilos, so they think I'm hard. No. Slow down, get the ego out. You should be taking notes, so you got an app, or you're writing down how heavy you're lifting, but keeping to the time under tension. 3 seconds down, 4 seconds down. As we get older, we could even go 5 seconds down, to slow it down and make it lighter, so your muscles are burning. That's what you want, the muscles to be burning. Then they tear, then your protein rebuilds them bigger, and you open up new insulin receptors with more space to eat glucose, so then you can eat more cake. That's what we want to do. We want to eat the chocolate rolls, Cadbury's, or the ice cream, or whatever. We want to eat that. We need that body that's going to absorb it. But yeah, testosterone drops, so I think it's more important to keep lifting.
Are you lifting? Are you? So, what's the correlation with the testosterone? And I'll tell you what I've done in the past. I had this supplement called Beast Super Test, and yeah, it really did do something with my shoulders. And
You got bigger?
yeah, but I'm not sure what were in it.
Did you say your shoulders got bigger or got injured?
No, I didn't get injured. They got a bit wider, and they've never really, kind of gone back.
So the
Since
correlation, the
a
correlation,
nice V shape when I was about 30.
yeah,
I was just getting divorced. I
yeah,
was basically
motivation,
I were doing pre-workouts
yes,
that had the tingly stuff in it, the beta alanine.
mm-hmm.
And I was kind of walking around the gym grunting, basically. Just I were getting divorced. I were annoyed. I were doing an hour and a half, 5 days a week in the gym. I were early into my business, very motivated. It was first year in my business, actually, and then that was the first time in my life that I'd ever done like overhand pull-ups, and I did one, and then I did two, and then I could do like, I don't know, three sets of. I could probably do about 3 sets of 10, so about 30 when
Perfect.
I could really
And
do
that's
them.
where you're going to get the V shape, because you're growing your lats.
Yeah, I was really doing that. I was doing lap pull downs as
Yeah,
well, and all
yeah,
that kind of thing. And I would like to get back to that and even better, because that's probably when I was 25 and doing kickboxing. That's when I had washboard stomach and stuff like that, and the motivation there, what you were going to get punched, so you wanted to really have a hard stomach. So I was doing loads of crunches and hyperextensions for the opposite, for the lower back and stuff like that. But yeah, I need to get back to that. I need to get it's healthy body, healthy mind, isn't it?
yeah. So there's the motivation thing. So let's unpack it all. From the supplements, caffeine is good, beta alanine is good, and divorce is great. Now, whether that testosterone tablet did anything or not, I wouldn't
I'm
know.
not sure.
The
I'm not sure.
supplement industry is unregulated. It's not classed as food, so they can do what they want and sell you a load of bullshit. Only supplements I recommend is magnesium, omega-3, and vitamin D, and maybe some creatine, which has been studied since the 80s.
Yeah,
If you want.
that's from meat anyway, isn't it? That's from like red meat,
Yeah,
creatine. Yeah,
yeah. But you saturate your blood and your cells with creatine. It's the first bit of exercise helps you to get one more rep or one more kilo.
yeah.
So, and
Get plenty of water in it. Yeah,
it
with the creatine.
creatine monohydrate is hydrated one piece of water, so it fills you out with water. Yeah, it helps you to get stronger, helps you to build more muscle. But creatine, that's the only supplement. The only other ones is vitamins, minerals, which is omega 3, because most people are not eating salmon every day. Vitamin D, because we're not getting enough sunlight, and magnesium, because 90% of the population is low in magnesium, not sleeping great, so magnesium at bedtime. That's the only thing that I ever recommend.
So you ZMA, zinc, magnesium, and whatever that other thing is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just means Z and magnesium. Magnesium.
Is
And
it?
Ma is the symbol for magnesium.
Is it? Yeah.
ZMA, I believe. So, yeah, zinc, I suppose, but that's, you know, you can take a multivitamin. I don't, there's loads. I've had a coach bodybuilder guy who was on roids telling me what to take, loads and loads of different stuff, and I was like, no, couldn't take that. There was like 20 tablets. It's costing a lot of money. I don't think everybody needs that. Things that are, I mean, if you're a top bodybuilder, this guy was on stage winning trophies for his country. So these little things like that tablet, even though it's already injecting testosterone, that tablet might make 0.1% better. And that's important for him. It's not really important for us. It's not that important. It's not 50 quid a month important. So depends how much they cost him. But all them supplements added up together, less than 1% difference. It's not really that much for me.
Diminishing returns.
Yeah. But if you're right at the top, at the peak, and somebody's going to judge you,
It
and you're
counts.
you're 3% body fat, and you're going to get judged by three people standing next to other people that are 3.1% body fat.
That's your business. It's like
Yeah,
micron, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, exactly. So for them, fine. Not for me, and not for my clients. Supplement industry is unregulated. We can't prove it. There's studies upon studies showing you that this and that and this and that, but they are all biased towards the people. They're done by the people that are selling them.
It's proprietary. I remember my friend used to
That's the
take.
word. Yeah,
Have you heard of Jack 3D, the Jacked or whatever?
yeah. Jacked. Yeah,
Yeah, that had some stuff in it. I'd never had it myself, but I was tempted.
illegal now. Yeah,
Yeah, it is illegal. Yeah, and it had some proprietary stuff in it, and it said
that means it's
there were an
just
active ingredient. I
blend. I'm
can't
not
remember what it
telling
was,
you.
but
Not
when
telling
it
you the
got
blend.
banned, what were it?
Propriety means they're not telling you the blend.
They're not telling you. It's just hidden. It's just a secret ingredient.
Yeah.
And my friend panicked. He bought a load. He bought
Yeah,
a load of it, and then they brought like a Jack 3D, whatever,
yeah.
and it didn't have the active ingredient. And
No,
he
it's not the
bought all
same.
the active ingredient ones when it were banned,
Yeah,
and he bought as
be
much
worth a
as
lot
he
of
could.
money now.
Hmm?
Be worth a lot of money now.
Yeah, they were on eBay selling for quite a lot.
Yeah.
Really, and he used to take that, and he used to love that, and
Well, when
um,
I lived in Cyprus, I used to get the Red Bull from Thailand, and that is actually illegal in Europe
hmm,
because it's so high in taurine and caffeine. It
hmm,
was above the legal limit. I don't even know what it is. Nowadays, people are drinking Monsters and Red Bulls all the time. But
yeah,
that was so strong, yeah, that would keep me awake for my DJing nights. But yeah, there is stuff. But I think to get away with selling stuff in England on Amazon, if you're buying something that says test on Amazon, it's not going to be anything because it's illegal. You aren't going to be able to buy it on Amazon or to Google. It's going to be
yeah.
black. If you're getting it on the black market, yeah, you're probably going to be injecting it. So buying a tablet off of Amazon and expecting it to be like a steroid is not happening. There's one called Turkmenistan. There's quite a few out there. These are just not true. But there's studies that they have funded will show you that some guy put on 50 kilos of muscle in one day or whatever. It's a load of bollocks. Save you money. Eat right, train right, and your genetics is your genetics.
Yeah. Get it from your food as well. I mean, there's some guys called the Oz twins who are pretty ripped. At the same time, they did the YouTube channel years ago, and I watched an episode where they did they tried honey goat weed, beast super test. So I got the beast super test, and that was like 35 quid for
A
like a
month.
month's worth or whatever. I don't know if it's what they call it, a where it's like
Placebo.
a placebo, yeah. And I would just like thought, right, I'll take this, and then I did it, but it seemed to make me sleep better. It seemed to
But
make
you
my shoulders
also,
bigger.
you was training an hour and a half. That would make you sleep better.
I was doing an hour and a half. I would do
You
an
was
hour and a half.
motivated by your divorce. That would make you lift heavier. So now you're tired and now you're sleeping better.
That's where I really got kind of bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The divorce diet. That's what I call the divorce diet the best. People when they get divorced, they just have to get sorted now,
Yeah,
and it happens to everyone.
yeah. But yeah, it's finding that motivation into whether it's fitting into the genes, whether it's and it's not just one thing as well. I was watching an interview with Mr. Beast the other day, and it were a diary of a CEO, and he said they were asking what motivates you, Mr. Beast. Is Jimmy is called into, and it's a bunch of other things. It's what motivates him to be in business. It's not just money. It's not just wanting to help people. It's not just getting the buzz, the dopamine from business itself. And it's a bunch of different things, isn't it? And it's kind of like knowing your why. And
Yeah. So for me, it was didn't want to have my legs cut off for diabetes, and then I had a kid, and it was like I want to be a role model for my kid. Then I got a buzz from helping other people, so then it became my job. So, staying in shape was my job, and being a role model around my kids. And my daughter now, she does gymnastics and she knows all about protein. She knows she comes to the gym when we're at work at the gym, and she's doing chin ups and picking up the bar and the dumbbells, and that just seeing her doing that rather than sitting on the iPad. So her being motivated by our lifestyle is what motivates me. But it started with I don't want to die from diabetes, or I didn't want to have my feet cut off. So there's loads, and that's one thing here. You've got divorce, you've got or you've got this warning from the health scare, and it could be mini heart attack. It could be look, you've got high cholesterol, whatever the doctor tells you to make you shit your pants, or it could be your parents suddenly die of a thing, and you're like, okay, that's genetic. It's going to happen to me now. That's happened to a lot of people. They're motivated by that. Or it could be divorced. Or it could be they want to feel better when they look in the mirror.
I wonder if a lot of the younger people who are going to the gym and getting like the ripped bodies, and that they're doing it because they're seeing people on Instagram. And I know a lot of that's fake. They can Photoshop it and everything, but and they're seeing a lot of YouTubers doing it because there's that awareness and that education, and it's more prominent because when I
we,
were young, we were in a small village. You didn't look around and see. I'm not saying bodybuilders, but I watched Commando and Predator with Arnie. I watched Van Damme in Kickboxer, and the one with the Kumite. What's the other one? The one where he fights Bolo Young anyway. Goes to the Kumite. But yeah, what they were all that on TV and on VHS and everything back then, wasn't it? But I didn't really look around and see people who were kind of like that in real life. But these days, you've got so that must be a big motivator, do you think, for kind of young
yeah.
people?
I mean, I never used to want to be like Mr. T. I used to watch the A Team, and he was ripped. I never wanted to be like him. Nowadays, we're all on the social media. We are being filmed and photographed and plastered all over the internet. So they are being scrutinized. Everybody can see them. Everybody in the world. So you used to be your clique. Your clique would see you and they'd know you. You'd know that they know whatever, if you're fat or not. They know you. Now you're getting shown to all people all over the world all the time. So there's a lot more pressure for the young people, I believe. And yeah, they're comparing themselves to a lot. It's a lot closer. I never compared myself to Mr. T. That's out. That's in America. That's them. Arnie and Stallone. That's over there. But that obviously we sort of come to here. I don't know. Actually, I do believe that up north, guys are not so worried about being skinny. They want to be bigger. So you've got the strong men are up north, and then down south they want to be thin like a David Beckham. They're going to be a thinner body.
Yeah, I'm up north. I'm Yorkshire, and I like if there's a physique I like, it's Tom Hardy's in. I quite like Tom Hardy. I kind of like how he's rough and ready, and he's quite versatile and a method actor who really gets into it. And I like a lot of the actors where they've got the body transformations, and I think a man should be able to protect. I'm pretty traditional as well, so I think a man should be able to protect his woman, stuff like that. And I think it's our duty, and I'm quite traditional. in
He
that
was
sense
into
as well.
martial arts. He was into martial arts, when you? So that's more of a thinner, more of a lean body rather than a American wrestler, Hulk Hogan type.
Yeah, I wanted. So this was my mindset when I was young. When I was a teenager, my mate said I started. I remember getting that bug. I bought this book, which was something to do with military working out, because I wanted to be in the army, and I never ended up going in the army. So I wanted to go in the army. So I'd do a lot of running, do a lot of. My dad bought me a punch bag, so I did a lot of boxing. And I used to watch Chris Eubank, and I like boxing and stuff like that. So it was very much being able to move quite fast. And I'm quite short, so my kind of skill was being able to move quite quickly. And then when I started doing karate and kickboxing, I could move and dance and like that kind of thing, and kick quite fast. So that were me. So more a small frame, like smaller than like a big wrestler. Where my perception was the move more slowly, but have a lot of strength. So I was more like quick, I think.
Yeah, and I think for the kids, they are getting a lot more of the Rock, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, more than we used to get it. People in England are the only way is Essex, things like that. They're supermodels. They've got a lot of hype to live up to, and these are just photos, or they're genetically gifted, or they're taking performance enhancing drugs, PEDs, steroids. People are taking them, and then kids are comparing themselves to that, and they want that.
Yeah,
Girls obviously are comparing themselves to supermodels on magazines, but it's now Instagram. It used to be looking at a magazine, you wouldn't be doing it all day, but now you're looking at Instagram on your phone and, all day.
yeah. I'm not sure if it's a good thing either. It's I can't remember the quote, but it's something like comparison is the enemy of
Thief,
innovation or something. Is
thief
it?
of joy.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. So and a lot of it's fake. A lot of it's fake. Like the Keeping
Of
Up with the
course,
Joneses. A lot of it's
I've had a photo shoot done. I was 9% body fat. I had a photo shoot done, and I was ripped for about a minute. And as soon as that was finished, then I started rehydrating and eating some cake, and I was, oh, that's better. It was miserable. But in that photo, you'd be going, oh my God, he's like that all the time. No, it's fake. And then that's not even photoshopped. Half of them are photoshopped. And then half of the guys are doing steroids. So they are bigger than they should be. And that's more popular nowadays. It's happening. And the girls, yeah, it's Photoshop. It's silicone lips and whatever, boob jobs and that. It's not natural. And they're comparing themselves to that.
so it's about just. I think the biggest competitor is ourselves, isn't it? So just becoming the best possible version of ourselves, and just not being too hard on ourselves. But actually, on the other hand, not being there's a scale of things. Not being lazy. Actually getting out of bed, getting to the gym, or if you can't afford to go to the gym or it's too far away, or if you're quite busy like me, you just do your press ups. I've got my kettlebells. I've started doing a bit of yoga in front of YouTube. I might have the wrong technique, but I'll probably I've been getting into all kinds of different things for flexibility these days as well. So I think that's the thing. It's not just about being necessarily too big, but you've got to be able to move about and everything, aren't you? And stuff
Yeah,
like that.
it's for the youngsters. I would say it's about learning to love yourself. So you're not comparing yourself to somebody on a magazine or Photoshop or silicon or steroid guy. Learning to love yourself. You love yourself enough to do some exercise. You love yourself enough to eat healthily, and then you just love yourself because you are just you. You're gonna have a kid, and you're gonna love that kid so much. You're not gonna do anything horrible to them and say nothing nasty to hurt their feelings. Yet you speak to your own head a lot worse than you would to your kid. But you are the kid. You're still that kid. You used to be a kid for 40 years ago, but now you are that kid, and you are the adult looking after that kid. So watch the way that you talk to yourself in your head. Love yourself. If you had a kid, you'd be like, I'm not gonna force feed you pizza and ice cream. I'm gonna try to help you eat healthily. I'm gonna try to help you do exercise, and because I love you. That's to your kid. Why don't you do it to yourself? Learn to love yourself. So you've got enough love to look after your body and look after your health.
Words of wisdom there, Steve. Yeah. Nice place to end it, I think.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. So, yes, Steve, where can people find you then online, etc.?
Oh, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel, Dennis Coaching, Steve Dennis on Facebook. I think it's Steve Dennis Coach on Instagram. Steve Dennis Coach. Bloody thing. We haven't even got a website going. Just connect to me on social media. Questions, tips. Where I'd just like to help people.
Brilliant. Yep. Well, thanks for your time, and I'll see you
Mate.
soon, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. You take care.